Alright, what's up, yins guys? I'm gonna do a video real quick on this latest news about this computer tech CIA National Security Administration computer tech guy that is in a lot of hot water, and he is in hiding or whatever because he leaked information. I guess he had a lot of money. He was doing really well, and he was getting paid a lot of money, but something made him decide to turn around and say, hey, this is not good. Enough is enough. He sees something about the phone records being harvested by millions of common people that they can just put in a database. He's in hiding or something. We can't actually ask him what prompted him, because all we're hearing about is in the news, you know what I mean? But if it was just harvesting, records, phone records and everything for people that can potentially kill somebody or prevent something like the Boston bombing or anybody from being murdered or abducted, many different types of things, human trafficking, drug trafficking, I don't think he would have did what he did. There must have been something else that prompted him, you know what I mean, that the potential harassment and spying on common people because of what they believe in or what they disagree with or agree with or disagree with. I mean, it was a guy with making that much money, something beyond there is a legitimate reasons that you can put people under surveillance and harvest DNA and use harvested fingerprints, but they also will misuse that. There must have been something that he didn't like that we don't like, that prompted him to leave a really high-paying job. Because I want to use this video and bring up a couple things, because I say I'm both ways about it. And I want to say one thing else too, that okay, yes, they're harvesting all these records and all that and spying on all kind of people and even the common people, and they're saying on the talk shows too that they're doing it for Americans that lived in America all their life, and more of that than they are in even foreigners or anybody just come in. But there's another thing too. Okay, what hypocrisy in here too. Yes, we know they're doing this now, but I wonder if they're actually spying on Mr. Bill Ayers that got acquitted, and some of his people and henchmen, his minions, I guess, were put in prison, and him and his wife or whatever actually have openly said that they were heroes and in short and all that crap. Yeah, I'm wondering if anybody's spying on him. He got acquitted, and the surveillance that they're putting on everybody now, he supposedly got acquitted because their lawyers or whatever got away with saying that the surveillance techniques that they were using now on Bill Ayers and people were unconstitutional. Okay, they were going to kill people and overthrow the government, but the surveillance was actually somehow the surveillance stuff was unconstitutional or some crap. You guys can look it up for the details, because I only got 15 minutes in a video. Oh, but he got acquitted because of that. But how come some of his minions and henchmen they managed to put them in prison? Well, maybe I guess they didn't have as good lawyers, and maybe brainwashed them that they can be martyrs or some kind of thing. But yet he's still teaching in a university and discreetly teaching his students how to be book smart and college smart and get away with being little terrorists at heart. You know what I mean? Nobody's watching him, I guess, because some people actually secretly think he's a hero still yet. But if you or me were dumb enough to even talk about something like that on a telephone, would be thrown in somewhere so fast our heads spin. You know what I mean? But one thing I wanted to say too about the pros and cons, and if somebody's really doing something that's really bad and they find out, And if it can save lives of somebody going to be murdered, abducted, and different things like that, you know. And I remember as a kid, they wanted to harvest people's fingerprints. I remember a kid in school in the 80s, and they're sending these notes along to the kids for their parents to sign. If you and your kids, you wanted to participate and get your fingerprints, and they wanted to say, oh, they can find you by your fingerprints and all that stuff. And how are they going to find somebody by their fingerprints? But that's what they were selling us kids in the 80s. I know I didn't participate. But, you know, I noticed, my point is they're harvesting fingerprints and DNA, and they're even DNA now, and phone records. And if there is some people that are dangerous, yes, they can catch them by that, but yet they are using it for other reasons to harass you if you're disagreeing or with a particular thing, or you don't like something, or they want to know if what you object with, if you disagree, what you disagree about. But there's a thing that I agree partially with, where I want to tell you a quick story. I saw this, any of you guys, you music fans, if you listen to any heavy metal and things like that, and here was the thing I saw on a crime show that I don't know where I was when this happened. And I listened to a lot of metal and different things, and I found out years later I saw this on a crime show that one of these insignificant bands, this woman, this lead singer, was murdered or whatever, and they were doing a documentary about it. And I don't know where I was when this happened, or I missed that, where if I don't know what channel what was ever on. I must never have been home, or must have been somewhere else when this was on TV when it happened. But a bunch of years later, I'm watching this crime show, and I hear that this they're doing a documentary. This woman was murdered, and she was friends with these groups like Soundgarden and all that stuff, and all these bands from Seattle or whatever were raising money to try to help hunt down and find her killer. I mean, this documentary was saying this, but you guys could look it up on the internet. I missed that. I don't know where the hell I was. I mean, I found this a bunch of years later, you know, watching it on a crime show. And what happens is they gave up on it. After 10 years, they didn't find nothing. And 10 years later, the DNA stuff was just in effect. And somehow, I guess they got a guy for something else, and they had DNA from the woman that was murdered somehow, and they caught this guy because they were doing DNA scans with a computer, and they got a match, and they caught this guy. And if you want to look it up, I guess the guy was supposedly living all over the place, you know, like a bum. He lived with different girlfriends and different things, and God knows how many women or whatever he must have killed that probably was never even caught, you know. He'd probably doing the same damn thing as a guy named Edward Surratt was doing, that was from the area, the general radius of where I live. This guy, Edward Surratt, they caught him in Florida, but he'd committed murders in my particular area. I think this guy was another Edward Surratt. But yeah, the good thing is, yes, this DNA harvesting, phone harvesting can catch people that did do bad stuff. But yes, they can get other kind of people and harass them too, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of both ways. But this guy left a good paying job and turned around and blew the whistle. We only know about him what we're hearing on the news. I mean, if they were just doing that with phone records just to catch, you know, people that want to do things like the Boston bombing, or catch serial killers, or drug runners, or people traffickers and things like that, I don't think he'd have no problem with that. But there must have been something way worse about American citizens that he didn't like, to actually leave a job that was paying that much money and turn around and decide to be hunted, you know what I mean? You gotta wonder sometimes if either they capture him, is he gonna never show up anywhere, or just be in hiding, or is he gonna conveniently be killed in a shootout, or he's a supposed shootout that me and you will never see, but we'll just take the news' word for it? Or are they going to capture him and he's going to be in there somewhere, and then we're not going to be able to hear his side or whatever, and nobody's going to... We don't know, you know. They can we might hear on the news real soon. Someday they'll find him. I don't know, but I'm both ways. If if there's like really dangerous people, they should, but evidently they're not just using it for that. Already we've been hearing stories about harassment of people because of what political side they're on or what they disagree and agree with the government, or what they don't suck up to, and all of a sudden they can get harassed. And they're already encouraging busybodies, like in South Florida, that if you have a different opinion about something, that if they can, your busybody neighbors can call on you, and police can come to your door, and you can be ordered to get a psychological exam. Yeah, and so if you disagree with something politically, you know what I mean, that but you do got to watch what you say. Don't say any kind of thing like, even in a figure of speech, that you're going to shoot anybody or you're going to do this or that. Yeah, we should. Oh, God forbid, you give anybody arrows in their quiver. You know what I mean? But yeah. So what I was saying about in the 80s, back when I was a school kid, that sending notes to school, that asking the kids and parents to participate to fingerprint your kids and all that, so they can find you by your fingerprints if you get kidnapped. That was more like a polite way of saying that, hey, everybody, they get older and they're not kids anymore. Yes, they can get tempted on the wrong side of the tracks and commit a crime. And, well, for any kind of a system to catch any real criminals, like DNA, or by DNA or fingerprints, the system works, and they harvest it it only works if they harvest and have fingerprints, DNA, and phone records to go through. Like if you were a person that all of a sudden got demented and decided to do something bad, that's what it is. They don't flat out tell you that. They ain't gonna go and tell a bunch of kids back like when I was in school that, yeah, if you decide to commit a crime when you get older and do something stupid, we'll have fingerprints ahead of time on file, which would be easier than, well, if we catch you as a suspect in something and then we fingerprint you when you're arrested. If it works. They were already working on it years ago with different kind of techniques like that, because you have to have fingerprints and DNA on file. That was the moral of the story, though. The good thing about that having DNA and different things on file is they caught that person that murdered that woman. That even the people in the bands like Soundgarden and everybody else doing benefits to raise money for the killer. If they didn't have the DNA, they wouldn't have been able to catch her killer, I mean? So there's good and bad about it. So you get mixed feelings and all that stuff too. But that's pretty much what I'm saying. But it's one of the new technologies out there that for them to work, they have to have everything on file. Same way as they have you registered by Social Security number and all kind of things like that. Unlike in the olden days where you didn't have any machines. They had files on you at least on paper or something before they had computers. Or the earlier computers they started using were more like machines than computers until they advanced into computers. I mean, in a nutshell, but most of it was endless paper files in big old drawers, in file cabinets. Now it's in computers and big databases, so they don't have to have big giant rooms and buildings through files and everything like that. But with the good in it, that you can catch people that do things really despicable. Yeah, there's good in it, but at the same time, that access the very fact that they have everything on a database. If they decide to target you because you don't agree with the new progressive attitude, that anything that you just simply dislike, I'm not going to kill anybody or anything like that. If they decided somebody just is pissed off at you, they can use this information to block you from making a living and everything else too.